A man just looked into a camera in front of thousands of people and called his own children replaceable. Not a stranger's kids, not somebody else's burden, his own flesh and blood. And the woman who birthed those babies? She heard every single word, and what she did next has the entire internet in a chokehold. But that is not even the half of it, because while he was busy declaring his kids disposable, there was a woman in the next room who had given birth to his newborn less than a week ago, crying over groceries, getting called out of her name, and listening to this man announce on a live stream that he was leaving to go sleep with another woman just to retrieve a watch. Honey, I need you to sit down for this one, because what Blueface has been doing behind closed doors over the past 72 hours is some of the most disturbing behavior we have ever documented on this channel, and tonight, we are unpacking every single layer of it. The clapback from Jaidyn Alexis that nobody saw coming. The postpartum breakdown that left viewers physically sick. The watch story that will make your skin crawl. And the one answer Nevaeh gave when somebody asked her about her future that tells you absolutely everything about how deep this hole goes. So do not touch that dial. Do not even blink. Because by the end of this video, you're going to understand why thousands of women are flooding the comments saying the exact same 3 words. Run, girl, run. Now, let us set the table properly, because context is everything here. Blueface has built an entire second career off chaos. The man does not drop music anymore. He drops live streams, and every single one of them is engineered to humiliate somebody he claims to love. This is the same Blueface who turned his relationship with Christian Rock into a multi-year public demolition derby. The same Blueface who has more baby mothers than Billboard entries in the last 3 years. And the same Blueface who somehow convinced yet another young woman, Nevaeh, that her situation would be different. Spoiler alert, it is not different. It has never been different. And this week, the mask did not just slip. It fell off, shattered on the floor, and Blueface stomped on the pieces for good measure. So here is where it all ignited. Blueface decided to hop on stream, completely unprompted. Mind you, nobody asked him a single thing, and he started talking about Jaidyn Alexis. Now for those who need the family tree, Jaidyn Alexis is the mother of Blueface's 2 older children, Javaughn and Journey. She was there before the fame, before the face tattoos, before the circus. And according to Blueface himself, on this stream, in his own words, those 2 beautiful children are, and I need you to brace yourself for this, replaceable. Replaceable. He said it out loud. He looked into the camera and told the chat, and I am paraphrasing his exact logic here, that women need to understand something. He can go make another kid whenever he wants. He called himself, and I wish I were joking, an impregnator. He told the women watching that they are the ones stuck with the kids, while he can simply go start a whole new family with the next female like he is trading in a lease. He literally broke down the math of it on camera, explaining that even if Jaidyn moves on and has another baby with another man, she is still stuck with his kids, while he is free to reproduce across the landscape with 0 consequences. And then he laughed. The man laughed at his own philosophy of disposable fatherhood while his newborn slept in the next room. Let that marinate for a second. This is not some drunken slip. This is not a clip taken out of context from 5 years ago. This is a grown man, a father of multiple children, articulating a worldview where his children are inventory. Javaughn and Journey are not replaceable. They are little human beings with his eyes and his smile who are going to grow up and one day type their father's name into a search bar and find this clip. That is the part that never seems to cross Blueface's mind. The internet is forever, and his children will have a front row seat to their own erasure. And the cruelest twist? The only reason this even came up is because Jaidyn Alexis has allegedly been trying to keep the kids away from the chaos, away from the streams, away from the dysfunction, and Blueface interprets a mother protecting her children as a personal attack on his freedom. Make it make sense. Now, if you know anything about Jaidyn Alexis, you know she was never going to let that slide. And baby, she did not disappoint. Jaidyn Alexis got on her own platform and read Blueface for filth with the calm precision of a woman who has seen every trick in his playbook and stopped being impressed years ago. Her first point was devastating in its simplicity. Why are you even thinking about me? She pointed out that the man has a newborn in the next room. A brand new baby. Fresh from the hospital. And instead of being up at 3 in the morning doing feedings, instead of doting on the woman who just gave him another child, Blueface is sitting in front of a ring light, pressed, obsessing over Jaidyn Alexis, a woman he claims he has not even spoken to in months. She said it herself. It has been almost 2 months of silence, and yet he is the one bringing her name up. You cannot claim to be unbothered while you are live streaming about the mother of your kids at midnight. That is not indifference. That is an obsession with Wi-Fi. And then Jaidyn Alexis delivered the line that is now being clipped, reposted, and stitched across every platform. She told Blueface, "Do not you dare speak on Javaughn and Journey." She said, "I know you are not talking about my babies," and she drew the hardest line in the sand we have seen from her yet. Her children are irreplaceable. Her word, irreplaceable. And then she went somewhere deeper, somewhere that actually reveals the entire philosophical gap between these two people. Jaidyn Alexis said she would never feel stuck with her kids, because how could she ever be stuck with her own children? They are a part of her. She does not move like Blueface moves. Her kids are not a weekend hobby, not a photo op, not a prop for content. And the way she said it, y'all, was not even angry. It was almost pitying, like she was explaining colors to a man who was born colorblind. She ended it with a quiet little dagger. "I am sorry if you thought that, but it is never that." Translation: I feel sorry for any child who has to rely on you to understand what love actually means. And can we talk about what it means that the internet instantly crowned Jaidyn Alexis the winner of this exchange? Because the comment sections were unanimous, and I mean unanimous in a way the internet almost never is. Women were writing paragraphs about how Jaidyn Alexis articulated something they had felt for years but never had the words for. The idea that motherhood is not a trap, that your children are not a punishment, that the only people who describe kids as something you are stuck with are the people who were never planning to show up in the first place. Jaidyn Alexis did not just defend her babies. She accidentally became the spokesperson for every single mother who has ever watched her children's father treat responsibility like a prison sentence. And meanwhile, Blueface is over there calling himself an impregnator like it is a flex, like fathering children you plan to ignore is some kind of entrepreneurial venture. The contrast could not be more violent if it were scripted. But here's the thing that really stuck with me, and I need your opinion on this in the comments. Blueface framed his entire argument around power. You are stuck, I am free. You have the burden, I have the options. He genuinely believes that the ability to abandon is a form of wealth. And what he does not understand, what men like Blueface never understand, is that every single person watching that stream was not seeing a powerful man. They were seeing a man so emotionally bankrupt that his only remaining currency is cruelty. There is nothing free about a man who has to announce his freedom on a live stream while his newborn cries off camera. That is not liberation. That is a confession. And the saddest part? He thought he ate that. He sat back, satisfied, like he had just delivered its head talk, when in reality he had just handed Jaidyn Alexis the single most powerful piece of evidence she will ever need if custody ever lands in front of a judge. Play that clip in a courtroom. Please. I beg you. Play it on a loop. And since some of y'all are new to this entire universe, let me give you the backstory that makes this week make sense. This man did not become the internet's favorite villain overnight. He built this reputation brick by brick, stream by stream, humiliation by humiliation. The Christian rock era alone gave us years of televised dysfunction. The fights, the arrests, the tooth, the tattoos, the pregnancy announcements that felt more like hostage negotiations. And when that chapter finally burned all the way down, a lot of people made the mistake of thinking the show was over. But here is what I need you to understand about men like this. The show is never about the woman. The woman is just the set. When one set gets demolished, he does not retire the production. He builds a new one, casts a new lead, and starts filming the same movie with fresh faces. Jaidyn Alexis survived her season. Christian Rock survived hers, barely. And now Nevaeh is filming season 3, except this season started with a newborn in the opening scene, which means the stakes are higher than they have ever been. What makes this particular chapter so chilling is the efficiency of it. In one single week, this man managed to disrespect the past, the present, and the future all at once. The past, Javaughn and Journey, declared replaceable. The present, Nevaeh, berated over groceries while her stitches are still fresh. And the future, announced, on camera, that his next move was another woman's hotel room. That is a hat trick of humiliation that would take most men years to accumulate. He did it before the baby's first doctor's appointment. And the internet keeps asking me, Kiki, why do you keep covering him? Why give him the attention? And my answer is always the same. Because somewhere in that audience is a young woman dating a man who does the same things without the cameras. And if watching this disaster in 4K resolution saves even one of y'all from auditioning for a role like this, then every second of coverage is worth it. Let me also say this about the word replaceable, because the word choice itself is a confession. He did not say he wants more kids. He did not say he loves being a father. He said replaceable, which is a word you use for car parts, for phone batteries, for employees you never learn the names of. In his mind, fatherhood is not a relationship, it is inventory management. And the truly sick genius of the framing is that he presented it as advice to women. He positioned himself as the truth teller, the one willing to say the quiet part loud, the professor of a lesson he called reality. That framing is deliberate. Cruelty repackaged as honesty is the oldest trick in the manipulation handbook, because if you call it the truth, then anybody who objects sounds like they just cannot handle reality. But here is the actual reality. A man who has to keep creating new children because he keeps abandoning the old ones is not free. He is running. And you cannot outrun a trail of your own kids forever, because one day those kids grow up, and they have questions, and no live stream on Earth is going to answer them. Now, as ugly as the Replaceable Kids rant was, what happened next in this saga is what took this from typical Blueface foolishness into genuinely dark territory. Because while he was busy philosophizing about disposable fatherhood, the mother of his brand new baby was 3 to 4 days postpartum. Let me paint that picture for anyone who has never been through it. 3 days after giving birth, a woman's body is still actively healing from one of the most physically traumatic events a human body can endure. Her hormones are in freefall, crashing harder than any stock market you have ever seen. She is waking up every 2 to 3 hours to breastfeed. She is bleeding. She is exhausted. She is emotionally raw in a way that science literally classifies as a medical vulnerability window. That is where Nevaeh was. That is the state Blueface found her in. And what did he do with that fragile, sacred, terrifying window of time? He made it content. According to what unfolded on stream, Nevaeh was trying to order groceries. Groceries. Basic survival logistics for a household with a newborn. And Blueface decided that the way she ordered those groceries was not up to his standard. He told this woman, days removed from delivering his child, that she orders groceries like a child, that she does not do it right. And then, on camera, in front of an audience, he called her the B word. 3 days postpartum. Read that back to yourself slowly. And when Nevaeh got up and walked away crying, because of course she did, because what else was she supposed to do? The internet watched a woman break in real time. She was not performing. There was no angle, no storyline, no rollout. That was a postpartum woman being verbally gutted by the man who was supposed to be guarding her recovery like it was the most important job of his life. And this is where I have to step out of the tea-spilling chair for a moment and speak plainly, because this channel has covered a lot of messy situations, but there is a difference between messy and dangerous. Postpartum is not a vibe. It is not an excuse. It is a clinically recognized period where a woman's risk for depression, anxiety, and crisis is at its absolute peak. Doctors screen for it. Hospitals hand you pamphlets about it before they let you leave. And the number one protective factor, the single thing every medical professional will tell you matters most, is the support of the partner. Nevaeh does not have a partner right now. She has a critic with a ring light. She has a man grading her grocery orders like she is a failing employee while her body is still trying to figure out which way is up. And the scariest part, the part that made my stomach turn watching this, is how ordinary it all seemed to him. There was no hesitation in Blueface's voice. No awareness. The cruelty was casual, and casual cruelty is always the most documented kind, because it means this is not an incident. It is a pattern. Let us also be very clear about the timeline, because the timeline is the indictment. This is not a man who snapped once under stress. This is the same week, the same streams, the same mouth that called his older children replaceable, now turning around and berating the woman who just birthed the new one. Do you see the through line yet? Because I do. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. In Blueface's world, every single person in his orbit exists in one of two categories, currently useful or replaceable. Jaidyn Alexis? Replaceable. She has been demoted. Javaughn and Journey? Replaceable. He will just make more. And Nevaeh, 3 days after giving him the newest model? Already being told she does everything wrong. The woman has not even stopped healing from the delivery, and she is already failing his inspections. If that does not tell you exactly what Nevaeh's future looks like inside that house, I do not know what will. Now here is where the story gets so absurd that if you wrote it into a script, a producer would tell you to tone it down. After Nevaeh broke down crying, Blueface apparently decided that an apology was in order. And y'all, I use the word apology with the heaviest quotation marks the English language allows. He went to her with flowers, told her he was sorry, told her he takes it back, told her he loves her. And Nevaeh, sweet, exhausted, hormonal, sleep-deprived Nevaeh, was crying and told him it is not funny. This is not a funny moment. And do you know what this man said? This is not a joke. He asked her how long postpartum lasts. He stood there, mid-apology, and essentially requested the expiration date on her pain so he could calendar it. And when she kept crying, he literally said he was going to check with his people to find out how long postpartum lasts. Like her medical recovery was an inconvenience he needed a projected end date for. I have covered a lot of tone-deaf moments on this channel, but a man asking for a timeline on his baby mother's postpartum depression window so he can schedule his disrespect accordingly? That is a new entry in the Hall of Fame. And I need you to hold on to something sturdy for this one, the watch story. Oh, you have not lived until you have heard the watch story. Later in the stream, Nevaeh asked Blueface a simple question. What happened to your watch? Innocent enough, right? A woman notices her man's jewelry is missing. She asks about it. And Blueface, on camera, to her face, told her the truth. Or at least his version of it. He left his watch at another woman's place. A hotel room situation, apparently. And then he told Nevaeh, his day's postpartum partner, that he was going to go get it back that night. And that he was, quote, probably going to sleep with the woman while he was at it. He said that, out loud, to the mother of his newborn, on a live stream. And when Nevaeh understandably reacted, when she pushed back, when the whole chat could not believe what they were hearing, Blueface turned it around on her. He accused her of wanting to put it on camera. He asked her, how does that make you feel, mockingly, like he was the therapist and she was the patient. He told her he tried to play it off for her and she was not listening. The manipulation acrobatics were Olympic level. He cheated adjacent announcement, blamed her for broadcasting it, and repositioned himself as the considerate one who attempted to spare her feelings. All in under 60 seconds. I genuinely need you to sit with what that exchange reveals, because it is the Rosetta Stone of this entire situation. A secure, respectful man does not leave his watch at another woman's hotel room while his newborn is days old. But an even halfway decent man, if he somehow found himself in that position, would lie about it. He would protect the mother of his child from that humiliation. Blueface did neither. He told the truth publicly, and then punished Nevaeh for reacting to it. Do you understand what that combination means? It means the humiliation was not a side effect. The humiliation was the product. He wanted her to know. He wanted the audience to watch her know. And he wanted to demonstrate, in front of everyone, that he could say it and nothing would happen. She would cry, she would stay, and the stream numbers would climb. That is not a relationship, y'all. That is an experiment in human endurance with a viewer count. And the detail that really sent me, the one I cannot stop thinking about, is the flowers. He brought flowers for the grocery insult, told her he loves her, and within the same stretch of streaming announced he was off to sleep with the watchwoman. Flowers in one hand, betrayal itinerary in the other. And somewhere in that house, there is a woman who just gave birth, holding a newborn, watching the father of her baby perform an apology he did not mean before leaving to do the exact thing he just apologized for making her feel. If a girlfriend told you this story about her man, you would pack her bags for her. But when it happens on a live stream, half the internet treats it like a sitcom episode. And that, right there, is how women end up trapped for years. Entertainment value is the anesthesia. And can we talk about the chat for a second? Because the chat was doing something I have rarely seen in these streams. When the watch segment aired, the comments were not laughing. They were begging. Strangers, anonymous screen names, people who log on to be entertained by this exact chaos, were typing things like leave him, like this is not love, like somebody go get that girl. When the audience that showed up for the circus starts yelling for the performer to escape the tent, the show has crossed a line that even the viewers can feel. That is a cultural moment, y'all. That is the market itself rejecting the product. And yet Nevaeh could not see any of it, because that is the other thing about these live stream households. The woman at the center of the storm is the only person in the world who cannot see the weather. She is inside the house, inside the relationship, inside the postpartum fog. While millions of strangers with perfect hindsight shout instructions at a screen, she is too exhausted to read. There is a detail in the aftermath of the watch exchange that I keep turning over in my mind. When Nevaeh pushed back, when she finally showed a flicker of resistance, the response was not an apology. It was a performance of wounded pride. Suddenly he was the one who felt disrespected, because she kept bringing it up, because she wanted the whole world to hear it, because she would not let him play it off. Study that move, because it is the single most important move in the entire playbook. The offense happens, and within minutes the offender has become the offended. The woman who was just humiliated on camera now finds herself in the position of comforting, reassuring, managing the emotions of the man who humiliated her. Therapists have a term for this, and once you learn it you will spot it everywhere. The reversal. Every conflict ends with her apologizing for her reaction to his action. And after enough rounds of the reversal, a woman stops reacting at all, not because it stops hurting, but because she has learned that her pain only creates more work for her. That silence is not peace. That silence is surrender. And it is the sound this whole situation is building toward if nothing changes. I also want to talk about the sleep thing, because it deserves its own moment. People close to the situation have pointed out that Nevaeh seems to barely rest. And the theory going around is that she is afraid of what happens when she is not awake to watch the house. Let me translate that from gossip into English. That woman does not feel safe enough in her own relationship to sleep. Sleep requires trust. It requires the bone-deep certainty that nothing terrible will happen while your eyes are closed. A new mother is already biologically wired for hypervigilance. Her brain is literally restructured by childbirth to stay alert for threats to her baby. Now add a partner who has just demonstrated, publicly, that the moment she is not watching, he is planning hotel visits. You have taken nature's most exhausting state and added a security detail to it. There is no recovery happening in that house. There is only surveillance. And a body that never rests and a heart that never settles will eventually break in ways that flowers cannot fix. But wait, because the single most revealing moment of this entire saga has not even been touched yet, and it did not come from Blueface at all. It came from Nevaeh herself, and it explains everything. Later in the stream, after the grocery fight, after the flowers, after the watch announcement, someone on the stream asked Nevaeh a simple question. What is your long-term career goal? Now, a career question has a predictable shape. You say nurse, you say entrepreneur, you say real estate, you say going back to school. Nevaeh's answer? She said she wants a big family and to be successful with a family. That was the whole answer. Her career goal is the very household where she is currently being called out of her name 3 days after giving birth. Her 5-year plan is the man who just told her he was leaving to sleep with somebody else. And listen, I am not here to mock that woman, and I do not want a single person in these comments mocking her either, because what Nevaeh said was not stupid. It was heartbreaking. It was the answer of a young woman who has organized her entire identity around a dream that the man in the next room is actively setting on fire. And this is the part where the conversation has to get bigger than Blueface, bigger than Nevaeh, bigger than any one live stream. Because there are thousands of Nevaehs watching this video right now. Young women who were never told, by a father, by a mentor, by anybody, that they are allowed to want something that belongs only to them. A house with their name on the deed. A career that pays them whether a man claps for them or not. An identity that does not evaporate the moment the relationship does. When a young woman's entire vision of success is being chosen, being kept, being the one he finally settles down with, she will tolerate absolutely anything to protect that slot, because losing the slot means losing herself. That is not weakness. That is programming. And men like Blueface do not stumble into women like this by accident. They select for it. A woman whose only dream is the family will forgive anything, because the alternative is admitting the dream died, and nobody wants to be the one who kills their own dream. Let me also address what Nevaeh is actually carrying inside that house, because the math is brutal. She has 2 babies now, one of them a newborn. She is up every 2 to 3 hours to breastfeed. She is expected to keep the house clean, keep the fridge full, order the groceries correctly, apparently, cook, and absorb constant filming, constant commentary, constant chat opinions about her body, her mothering, her worth. She is afraid to even fall asleep, and I want you to think about that for a second, because people close to these streams have noted she barely rests, and the speculation is that she is scared of what happens, or who happens, when her eyes close. Imagine being so vigilant inside your own relationship that sleep itself feels like a security risk. That woman is not living a life. She is standing guard over a situation that has already been breached a dozen times. And she is doing it all with a postpartum brain, a postpartum body, and a partner who grades her performance like a disappointed shift manager. And can we be honest about the audience's role in this too? Because I am looking at y'all just as much as I am looking at Blueface. Every view, every clip, every laugh react on a video of that woman crying is a vote for more of it. The algorithm does not know the difference between concern and entertainment. Blueface does not care about the difference either. The moment the numbers dip, the disrespect escalates, because escalation is the business model. Nevaeh's tears are a revenue stream, and until the audience stops paying, the show does not end. So yes, I am asking you directly. When you watch that clip of her crying, do you feel something, or do you feel entertained? Because your answer to that question is the entire economy of this situation. Be honest in the comments. I am genuinely asking. And since we are being honest tonight, let us talk about the piece of this conversation that makes people the most uncomfortable, which is the question of her choices. Every time I cover a story like this, the comments split into 2 camps. The camp that says she is a victim, full stop, and the camp that says she chose this, she saw the show, she moved in anyway. And tonight I want to offer a third option, because the truth lives there. Yes, Nevaeh watched the same public collapse we all watched. Yes, the warning signs were not hidden, they were broadcast in high definition for years. But knowing a thing intellectually and feeling it emotionally are 2 completely different countries, and every single person judging her has a version of this in their own life. The job you stayed in too long. The friendship that drained you for a decade. The situationship you kept explaining to your friends with the word but. Nobody walks into a burning building. Everybody walks into a beautiful house and ignores the smell of smoke. Because the house is beautiful. Because leaving means admitting you were wrong. Because the heart will always negotiate with the fire before it calls it a fire. What Nevaeh needs right now is not more cameras, and it is not more commentary, including mine. What she needs is boring, unglamorous, unstreamable infrastructure. A mother or an Annie or a friend who shows up and says, "I am taking the night feed, go sleep." A doctor's appointment where somebody asks her, privately, how she is really doing, and does not accept fine as an answer. A savings account in her own name, even if it starts with $50, because money in your own name is the first brick of every exit ever built. And most of all, she needs permission from somebody to want more than the dream she announced on that stream. Because the cruelest part of her answer about wanting a big family is that it is not a bad dream. It is a beautiful dream being held hostage by a man who treats family like a subscription he can cancel. A big family with the wrong partner is not a dream realized. It is a dream multiplied by heartbreak. She deserves the family. She does not deserve the terms and conditions currently attached. And to every woman watching this who recognized herself in Nevaeh's answer, hear me clearly. Wanting to be a wife and a mother is not weakness, and anybody who tells you that is lying. The weakness is not in the dream. The weakness is in believing there is only one man on earth who can co-sign it. There is a version of Nevaeh's life, 5 years from now, where the house is quiet, the babies are laughing, the fridge is full of groceries she ordered without an inspection, and the man asleep down the hall has never once made her cry on camera. That version exists. It is available. But the door to that life is locked from the inside, and the only key is a decision she has to make while she is tired, while she is healing, while everything in her wants to wait for things to get better on their own. Things do not get better on their own. Patterns do not retire. They repeat, and they escalate, and they wait for you to get too tired to notice. Now, let us zoom all the way out, because there is one more layer to this that nobody is talking about, and it is the layer that ties Jaidyn Alexis, Nevaeh, and even Chrisian Rock together into one very ugly pattern. Every woman who enters Blueface orbit goes through the same 3 stages, and once you see the stages you will be able to spot them from a mile away. Stage 1, the coronation. She is the one. She is different. She gets the public displays, the possessiveness, the baby. Stage 2, the audition. Suddenly nothing she does is right. The groceries are wrong, the curtains are wrong, the cooking is wrong, the crying is annoying, the healing is taking too long. The standards are deliberately impossible because the standards were never the point. The standards exist so that her failure is always documented and his behavior is always justified. And stage 3, the announcement. He tells her, usually publicly, usually on camera, that she is replaceable. We just watched Jaidyn Alexis live in stage 3. We are watching Nevaeh speedrun stage 2 while still in a postpartum diaper pad. And if history is any indication, stage 3 is already on the calendar. The only question is whether Nevaeh walks out before the announcement or after. Now let me give you my predictions, because you know I always call my shot on this channel. Prediction number 1. Within the next few weeks, there will be a grand gesture. A car, a chain, a trip, something shiny and public, because the cycle always includes a reconciliation phase loud enough to drown out the last humiliation. Prediction number 2. Jaidyn Alexis is not done talking. She has been the quiet one for years, and quiet women who finally start speaking tend to have entire libraries to unload. Do not be surprised if receipts surface, because the replaceable rant crossed a line that co-parenting diplomacy cannot uncross. And prediction number 3, the one I am most confident about. The children are going to become the center of this story, whether anybody likes it or not. Javaughn and Journey are getting older. They will have friends with phones. They will hear the word their father used, and they will come home with questions that no amount of streaming revenue can answer. That is the debt this kind of content runs up, and it always comes due at the worst possible time. And to Blueface, if any clip of this ever crosses your timeline, understand that this is not hate. This is a mirror. You have children watching you, a newborn who will one day be told about this week, and a legacy that right now consists entirely of other people's pain edited into entertainment. You are young enough to change the story and rich enough to afford the therapy. The replaceable line will follow you forever, but what you do next decides whether it is the summary of your life or just the lowest chapter of it. And with that said, let us land this plane, because I made you a promise at the beginning of this video, and I intend to keep it. But I told you at the top of this video that by the end, you would understand why thousands of women are saying run, girl, run. And now you do. Because this was never really about a watch, or groceries, or even one disgusting rant about replaceable kids. It is about a blueprint, a repeatable, Predictable blueprint for how women get slowly convinced that surviving a man is the same thing as being loved by one. Jaidyn Alexis found the exit. Nevaeh is still looking for the door. And somewhere out there is the next young woman watching Blueface streams thinking she will be the one to change him. If that is you, baby, let this video be the sign you prayed for. Now I need to hear from you. And I mean really hear from you. Number 1. Was Blueface out of line calling his kids replaceable? Or is that just how some men honestly think and he was bold enough to say it? Number 2. Is Nevaeh a victim here, or does she share responsibility for staying? Be respectful, but be honest. And number 3. What would you tell your own daughter if she brought home a man with this track record? Drop your answers in the comments, because I read every single one, and the best take is getting pinned. If you are new here, this is what we do. We go past the headlines and into the psychology every single week. Hit that subscribe, tap the bell, because the next story I am working on involves a very famous couple, a very suspicious business deal, and a name I cannot say yet without my lawyer's permission. Trust me, you do not want to miss it. Until then, keep your standards high and your groceries ordered exactly how you like them. I will see y'all in the next one.